The Racing Pod
on Off the Ball
with William Hill. Who you got? 18 plus. See gamblingcare.ie.
And you're welcome to episode 70 of the Racing Pod on Off the Ball. Remember, we're here every Friday with analysis, race previews, tips, stories, interviews and crack. The first half of the pod each week free to air, the second part exclusively for members. So be sure to sign up by going to offtheball.com/join. And this week for members, we're going to focus on the Grade 1s at Aintree on Saturday and also take a peek at Sunday's action at Cork and Ferryhouse. Johnny Ward's off this week. I'm joined by Tom Malone of the Irish Field. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a great week, isn't it? It's that 1 week where racing, just steps a little bit more into the limelight, and it's the one race when we are kind of front and central.
Aintree Grand National. So in this free to air section, we're going to preview the Aintree Grand National in Liverpool. It goes to post 4 o'clock on Saturday. 34 horses have been declared for the 4 mile, 2.5 furlongs chase over 30 fences. One of the most famous races in the world. Now, Tom, what is your favourite national memory and why?
I think we have a few national memories. Older ones, one of my first ones was Mr. Frisk, because my dad went over to Aintree in 1990 and I was a very small child. But back then, you had Sports Saturday was on every Saturday, and it had live racing on terrestrial television, which is, well, as we know now, is such an important part of any sport's, lifeblood. But yeah, my dad went to Aintree. Mr. Frisk won that day. I think he still holds the record, the course record, because it was lightning fast ground. And he brought me back the card. And I had that race card for, years and years. And he used to thumb through it. And just my first national memory, I just think, Mr. Frisk was up there. And just because, and your dad goes to a sporting event, you haven't a clue. You're kind of like, I wonder if I'll see him in the crowd. And it's like, there's like 80,000 people there or whatever, But Mr. Frisk is my first anyway.
So Grand National memories. And when I was looking at my 3, I was going to pick Mr. Frisk is also there for me, Tom.
No way.
You believe that? The love of racing came from my dad as well, and he was convinced Mr. Frisk was going to win. He'd tell me all the time because he loved his jumping, and ridden by an amateur, Marcus Armitage, on firm ground, as you say, beat Dermot Edition. So that is one of my 3 memories as well, because it was my love of the sport through my dad, and he was so convinced Mr. Frisk could win in 1990.
What a shout, by the way. What a shout, because I do feel back then...
What a start, folks.
Yeah, I do feel back then... It was a lot more open. It was certainly a lot more difficult to pick a winner, and it was a lot more
16 to 1.
Yeah, there were a lot more of those kind of price winners. I don't think that really happens anymore. I don't think my second real memory, and it's relatively recent, is Tiger Roll's retention of the national and the way he did it, the way everyone latched on, just the way he won. He's such a lovely little horse. He's one of the few horses that genuinely capture the public's imagination, I think, as the horse himself. I know obviously Davy Russell was part of it, and like Davy Russell, friend of the show, but just that performance that day, there was something very magical about it, and it just felt like a real moment, and the first kind of real, the first horse since probably Red Rum to really, capture the public's imagination at that time anyway. And then of course, we couldn't follow it up with COVID, which probably just added to the legend a little bit more too.
My second memory is a complete Father Ted Golden Cleric bit, was tipping Aurora's Encore to win at 80 to 1 in 2013. So I tipped 2 horses. T for 3 was my main bet, and Aurora's Encore. They both jumped the last together.
Wow.
I was producing a football show on Today FM at the time. Couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I didn't have a cent on him, and he was 100 to 1 in the morning.
I have that experience as well. I had a very good tipping on the Grand National one year. When Comply or Die won and King John's Castle was placed, and it's a mixed joy, because if you don't have a forecast or something on, you're just feeling like, what did I do that for?
So you had the forecast?
I had tipped up the forecast but didn't have a penny on. Like I said, if you don't have a penny on, it does hurt a little bit more.
It does when everybody else is saying, it's it's a one in a lifetime moment, and everybody else is saying, well, you're a legend, and even though my Cheltenham tipping's not been great recently, people still say, you did that, but I didn't do it myself. So Charlie's got a big one at home, folks, and that's why we're going to try and find you the winner of the Grand National. Your favourite national memory is? Yeah, my
favourite national memory is very recent. It's Minella Times and Rachel Blackmore. I've no shame in admitting there were tears streaming down my face when she did it. I don't know, maybe I was thinking about this morning and the importance of, sporting role models and female sporting role models, and, Rachel Blackmore in the immediate aftermath of that incredible moment when she was on the crest of a wave anyway in that year. She'd recently won the champion hurdle. She was top Cheltenham jockey. She'd won a Gold Cup in that sort of time frame as well. But, that just elevated her and the sport. And it was a magic moment. And just felt like my daughter as well was riding ponies at the time, and she was just able to go, I want to be like Rachel Blackmore. I want to be like Bryony Frost. And it was just one of those moments when, oh no, it is actually, it's important, isn't it? It's racing is cool from that point of view where, a female rider who's not related to a trainer who has come from, I don't want to say an outsider. Obviously, she's come through Pony Club or whatever, but she hasn't. Her dad wasn't a trainer or anything like that. And just to make the progress she did, I mean, bear in mind, Rachel Blackmore, not even that long ago, was sort of had to protest not being able to ride in the Martin Pipe because she was too old when she was a conditional. And then within, less than 10 years, she's there, literally at the top of the sporting world, front page of every single newspaper. And it was just a magical moment, a brilliant ride. I just never forget that final furlong. I was like, oh my God, she's going to do it. She's going to do it. This is the biggest thing I've seen. And yeah, Minetta Times, Rachel Blackmore, that was my moment.
Well said. Mine is Lord Galen, or Guyleen, winning in 1997. This was the year of the IRA bomb threat on the Saturday. The race was held on the Monday. Thankfully, it went ahead at 5 o'clock on the Monday. And if anybody loves steeplechasing, the first steeplechase was in Cork in 1752 between Buttevant and Doneraile. The horse was made for the Grand National. He was brave. He went on the inside. He got a great ride from Tony Dobbin, a young jockey at the time from Northern Ireland, and it was magnificent. It is steeplechasing as art, and from fence to fence, he jumped super out in front, cut the inside, won by 25 lengths. It was just magical, and that's what I think steeplechasing should be. I love Denman for that reason. I love great jumpers. And a bit, I've got ambivalent now about the Grand National, because I feel that it's a race that's been run since 1839. For 150 years, there wasn't much change to it. And I think in the last 10 years, there have been huge changes. And obviously, we want the welfare of horses to be paramount. But I do feel that it's come at the cost of what the Grand National was, which was a jumping test. And I wish we could get back to a place where it's as safe as it can be, but there is more of a premium put on how well a horse jumps to win in a jumps race and the ultimate jumps race. Otherwise, why have jumps racing? And when you look at fatalities, you had 9 in the 70s, 6 in the 80s, 5 in the last decade, 4 in this decade. There's not a huge difference. Obviously, it's going down. Obviously, it should be safer, but I just need to find a way. They've got plastic fences now for the last 10 years. That's possibly the right thing to do as opposed to wooden fences. They've got to find a way of making it as safe as possible. You never want to see a horse lose its life, right? But you've got to also make the race what it was to a degree too. What's your view on this? Yeah,
I agree completely. And I think that the measures they have taken are too extreme in that they've just kind of made fences smaller and stuff, and they haven't really thought about the knock-on effect of the changes. So the knock-on effect of the changes that we're definitely going to see this week is a fast Grand National. Because the fences take so little jumping, the horses can just fly through them and they're going too quickly, and errors that happen are probably nearly worse because the horses are not able to get into the root of the fence, get back in their hocks and pop over them. They're just able to wing through them like hurdles, which is not what you want. Maybe one place you have looked, one thing, a similar sport where they have taken measures would be eventing, where what they use are things called frangible pins. So the fences, even though they're logs and whatever, they still flip. So what the most dangerous thing in eventing is rotational falls, obviously, because you never want a situation where the rider ends up underneath the horse and, the horse flips over. It's as dangerous as it comes. So what they have added are, they're called frangible pins, so it means the top of the fence flicks off. But it's still a relatively solid obstacle that requires a horse to stand back off it and jump. Whereas because they've taken all the solid middle out of the national fences, they just brush through. So there probably needs to be some form of halfway house that if they could put some form of, I don't I'm not saying solid, but semi-solid or plastic or even hollow middle in it, just to create more of an obstacle that will just force horses to jump a little bit more. And like you say, just get them, that will actually slow them down. I mean, the fences down the straight. Like, I think it's right that Canal Turn should be smaller and Beecher's Brook should be less. Like, they were crazy. But the normal fences, they should still be a good size that force horses to just take a look back and concentrate on jumping, rather than being a situation where they can just run through them like
I don't want to see fallers,
of course
but I want to see horses penalised.
It was not a hurdle race either.
I want to see horses penalised for mistakes.
Yeah.
And the Irish national fences at Ferry House are tougher than the Aintree national fences. Something
Absolutely.
I never would think in my whole life when I started broadcasting that I would ever say that. So what kind of horse do we want to win the race now when we're looking to win the race? What kind of horse do we think... for you, what is the profile of a horse that wins the national nowadays, given all the changes being made?
So nowadays, you are going to look at a younger horse. The profile of the ages of the last few years is sort of 7, 8, 9. Jumping is not as much of a premium. If you look at the jumps data, that now I don't really buy into a lot of this, but the race IQ data that ITV are pushing a lot, they've ranked all of the jumping standards, so they've given them a number. So from 9, so it's out of 10 or whatever. So a few of these are up in the high 8 point whatevers. The only horse who's won over the Grand National Trip and over the Grand National Fences in full in the field is I Am Maximus, and he's only rated 6.8 on their jumping scale. So it just goes to show it's not a test of jumping in any way, shape or form anymore, even though I Maximus has never fallen in public, but he is not a sure-footed, like you say, a Lord Galeen, fence-to-fence, a bullion jumper, like a masterminded or one of those great 2-milers. So, look, it's a different kind. You want them to have shown class earlier on in their career. I think the first 4 home last year were all Grade 1 winners. You're looking for horses that are maybe on the up. You're looking for horses that, if they're not a Grade 1 winner now, they could be in the very near future. And, they don't need to be those highly exposed, hardened handicappers that you would have had several years ago. And you look at the top of the market, the cross country. Look, obviously with Tiger Roll, the cross country is from Cheltenham is a real stepping stone to this race. You see that with Stumptown, he's up near the top of the market. But not just Tiger Roll, the likes of Galvin and Manella Indo in the past, like they've run well coming on the back of that prep. So yeah, look, you need horses that are definitely going to get there, but you need horses that have enough class to have the tactical speed to stay in the first third of the race. These horses, you say, they'll definitely stay. But if they're too slow, they're going to get too far back too early. And particularly now, this year, it's going to be a good ground national. So you're not going to be able to hunt around at the back and pick horses up, because they're not going to come back to you in the same way on quick ground. So look, that's just the way it is. Now, obviously, the horse they're going to water the track. They're going to water the track a lot. You saw how quick it was on Thursday at Aintree. So they will try and slow it down, but they're fighting nature on that front, and that's a battle you're never going to win. Yeah,
you're talking about the age. No horse older than 9 in the last 10 years has won. As inexperienced horses like Noble Yates and Manella Times have won. 5 winners from the last 6 have been 11-1 or lower in the betting. 5 of the last 6 Irish trained.
The Irish train thing is huge. I mean, I think we had Irish train first 4 home, 5 of the first 6, or 6 of the first 7 the previous year. And we've absolutely dominated this race for the last 6-7 years.
Class horses like I Maximus can carry big weights to win, but 7 of the last 10 winners carried under 11 stone. I still think stamina does matter. I agree with you about the speed, that you have to have the position. But like I Maximus had won an Irish national. Ruled the World was placed in an Irish national. Many Clouds was a Hennessy winner. Pinot de Ray won an Ulster national. One for Arthur was a classic chase winner at Warwick. Cork Rambler won at Cheltenham twice. Like Field Door, for example, is a horse that will have a lot of speed, but will he get home? Cocoa Beach.
I can't see him
Cocoa
getting
Beach
home,
in 3 Grand Nationals for horses 1 over 3 miles has not got home in the Grand Nationals. So, Tom, we're going to do it in reverse order. Pick the 4, because they pay. You got to go each way, folks. You're going to have €1 each way. Please do it responsibly for the Grand National at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So we're going to go, because each way they pay 4 places out of 34. 4, 3, 2, 1 in descending order. Who's 4th for you?
Okay, before I do that, I think only about 9 horses have a chance in the race.
Sure.
So it's from the bottom. It's Highland, Intense Raffles, Iroko, Candy Kid, Percival Galwa, Stumptown, Manila Cocooner, Hewick, and I Am Maximus. So they're the only horses I think can win the race.
Okay. So number 4?
In 4th, I think I might go with Manila Cocooner.
Okay.
Yeah, just look,
Why?
he has a bit of form, definitely goes on quick ground. Manel Kakuna is a horse I couldn't have on my mind 2 weeks ago. And now I'm just looking at that win last year at Sandown on summer ground, which is almost what they're going to get. His form ties in nicely with Intense Raffles, who I was so sweet on for the race, but I was actually down in Tom Gibney's a couple of weeks ago, and they just need rain. I want that. Everything is right for I Am Raffles except the ground, and that's a lot to not be right.
So my fourth horse, Grange Clare West, was a brilliant winner over 3 miles at Leopardstown last season, and then produced a superb display to be second behind Galopin Chance and beat Factifile in the Irish Gold Cup. 3 of his runs this season, though, have been moderate. He needs to prove he stays. Willie Mullins does think he will stay. Will he go on the ground? He's off 11 stone 8. I think he's a very talented animal. I think if it's a going day for Grange Clare West, he can contend to get into the frame at a massive price, about 28 to 1. Your third place horse is?
My third place horse is... I'm tied here. It's going to be a Gavin Cromwell horse. Will finish in third. I think Percival Galway will finish third.
Okay.
Yeah, look, really progressive, has the age, has the profile, is improving. Got penalised £11 for that Paddy Power win. Is going the right way. I think it probably Percival Galway.
Okay.
Percival Galway, yeah.
I'm going for Hewitt in third. Must enter calculations as a proven stayer. Has won a Sandown Gold Cup. He's won a Durham National. He had also the pace to win a Galway Plate. He won a King George, a Grade 1 race, so he's got the class. The ground will suit him. He's £6 lower than his win at Kempton. He would be a popular winner for Shark Hanlon, who's had a challenging season. Hewitt for me has got to be thereabouts with the ground coming in his favour.
I'd say if I was 5, I would have put Hewitt in as 5. He's definitely one. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets.
So he's not in your top 2. Who's your number second?
My second is I Am Maximus.
Right.
I just think the weight will catch him out, but everything apart from that is spot on from the way he won the way he won the race last year. He won by 7 lengths. It could have been 17 lengths, couldn't it?
Yeah, but he's got a turn of foot, doesn't he?
He has a turn of foot. I feel like he has the right mentality for a national, in that he just kind of seems to switch off and fall asleep completely in his races, but he's enough class to get his jockey out of trouble or find the right position. And I think it's I Am Maximus. The only reason I'm not saying him as my number 1.
Don't tell us the number 1 yet.
No, I won't say who is my number 1. But the only reason I'm not saying he's my number 1 is just the weight and the price.
I'm going for horse to be number 2 at the right at the bottom. Duffel Coat at 66 to 1, 80 to 1, 50 to 1, whatever price is offered by your bookmaker. He was second to the Galway Plate in a big field. He was staying on 6 lengths behind Haiti Callure when brought down in a 3 mile, 6 furlong race at the Cheltenham Festival. He would have been placed. I think a staying test might suit him. Danny Gilligan is riding really well. I think he could outrun his odds. Sometimes you want to put in a complete outsider. I'm going for Duffel Coat to reach the frame as number 2.
Just on that, isn't it interesting how big a price Gordon Elliott's runners are this year, just generally?
Yeah.
Duffel Coat, interesting one. Yeah, I think he should handle the ground as well. That was one big positive for me.
He was a horse that's flat-bred, so I think the good ground will suit him. Okay, Tom Malone, moment of truth for you. Who's your number 1? Who's going to win the Grand National?
It's going to be Gavin Cromwell, Keith Donoghue and Stumptown.
Okay.
That's who
Why?
I just following that, following the sort of Tiger Roll chain of thought. He's a very efficient little jumper. The vibes are very, very strong from the yard. Loved his run in the cross country. And I don't think he even ran to his best in the cross country. But when I watched it back, I remember watching it going, oh God, is this horse off today? Is he on his game? And then, actually he wasn't in trouble. I think Keith was just trying to make sure he was kept in the right position throughout. No better man. And then once he got to the bottom of the hill, it was game over, and it was just that whoosh up the hill. And I just think he's just like a Tiger Roll type. I like everything about him. His jumping is very efficient. His trainer couldn't be any more in form. His rider is as good a man over a fence as you're ever going to come across. He's the right age. He'll handle the ground. He's in form. Yeah, love Stumptown.
Tom Malone's Grand National pick, 10 to 1 shot, Stumptown to give Gavin Cromwell the best year ever. My pick, Tom, is a horse you've already mentioned, Intense Raffles. And a 14 to 1. I think Intense Raffles is only 7, but horses that are younger have a chance in the Grand National now. Won the Irish National Key Trial last season. And there may be a theory out there the ground might not be in his favour and that he also has to go left-handed. But he's off 10 stone 10. He is probably the best handicapped horse in the race. And his dam, Un Artiste, won a Triumph Hurdle at Cheltenham on good ground. So I think if he handles the ground, that is a question mark. I think what happens if he improves to the ground? And I think, therefore, in the race, the last time the Bobby Joe chase, I liked his attitude. I think Intense Raffles, I'd love to see him win for Tom Gibney, and the Double Green Connections and JJ Slevin.
It would be absolutely magic. Just the one weird thing I found on that, JJ Slevin hasn't had a winner for 72 days. Isn't that nuts?
Well,
now, I wouldn't read much into jockey, Colt, but it is a weird little...
Well, the fact that you knew that is amazing. But hopefully for you, Sumtown wins, and hopefully for me, Intense Raffles wins 14-1. And look, let's hope all the horses come home safe, and hopes folks out there that you enjoy your Grand National 4 o'clock on Saturday. And please, if you're going to have a flutter, do it responsibly. So that was the free-to-air section of the Racing Pod. And if you're listening to the free version of the podcast, we're leaving you here. If you're looking for more, including our look at Saturday's Grade 1s at Aintree and action at Cork and Ferryhouse on Sunday, and our charity bet, go to offtheball.com/join to subscribe and get the full podcast with all of our racing tips, insights and stories from the week's action.
The Racing Pod
on Off the Ball
with William Hill. Who you got? 18 plus. See gamblingcare.ie.